It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to jump on the gigantic, sharp, interactive board. I want to go through Kyocera's FY, which ended in March of 2024. Kyocera, it doesn't matter when I look at your numbers, quarterly or annually. They always make me smile. Even when you have a hiccup, it's not that bad. Folks, I got to tell you something. As I looked into Kyocera's Document Solutions business unit, and you look at their consistency in delivering operating profit, you understand that Kyocera is not one of those companies that chases revenue at all costs. They understand controlled growth, and they understand the importance of profitability. But we got some things going on in the industry. In tomorrow's episode, I'm going to discuss the consolidation of manufacturing. And today's episode is kind of a tee-up to that episode, because I believe Kyocera can play a major role in the consolidation of manufacturing. Last year, we saw where Ricoh and Toshiba Tech formed a joint venture around MFP manufacturing. We recently read the headlines where Fujifilm and Konica Minolta are exploring putting together a joint venture around manufacturing. I do believe that as Fujifilm goes through the due diligence with Konica Minolta, they'll decide they need to absorb the whole company. Ladies and gentlemen, during the disruption the industry's in, during the consolidation the industry must have, we are going to lose some players in the industry. And I will tell you, I predict Konica Minolta will be one of the first players we lose. Konica Minolta has not performed financially for many, many years. And at the end of the day, Fujifilm could easily absorb Konica Minolta, and it would probably be a good thing for the industry. But as you start seeing the consolidation of manufacturing, you better start imagining the possibilities. So let's jump on the board. I want to share some thoughts regarding Kyocera's numbers. I want to share some thoughts on Kyocera's numbers in comparison to Ricoh numbers, because I think that's important when you think about the consolidation of manufacturing. So let's start out with Kyocera's top line revenue for the whole entire conglomerate for the FY, which ended March of 2024, $12.7 billion. They had an operating profit of $587.3 million, or 4.6%. The first thing I need to do is take my magic pen. I got to circle the 4.6% because the FY that ended March of 2023, they had 6.3%. They're down to 4.6%. You know, I'm sure that when Kyocera tallied up their results and realized that they were going to be off in operating profit, they got together in the boardroom and they had some pretty interesting meetings, I'm sure, with their leadership. One thing I don't think Kyocera did was call all the analysts and media in the print industry for an emergency meeting so they could try to distract from the realities. Congratulations, Kyocera. It was a hiccup. I'm sure you're going to correct that ship. But folks, when you think about the times we're in, interest rates here in the United States are not going down anytime soon. Economies all over the world are struggling. We still got supply chain issues, geopolitics, the weakness of the yen. So many things for international companies to be concerned about. Kyocera, get that operating profit back up to 7-8% for the whole conglomerate. Now let's look at that Document Solutions business group. Folks, Kyocera by far is not the largest in print in the industry. But let's look at this. Look at these numbers. Their top line revenue was $2.9 billion, represented 22.5% of Kyocera's total revenue. Their operating profit was $281.2 million, 9.7%, and that represented 47% of Kyocera's total operating profit. Kyocera has to be happy with the Document Solutions business group. And all those that work in the Document Solutions business group around the world, give yourself a clap and keep it up, because now you got next quarter. But congratulations. I wanted to look at this operating profit in that Document Solutions business group quarter by quarter for the FY, which ended in March of 2024. Let me read these off to you. First quarter, 8.7%. Second quarter, 9.5%. Third quarter, 8.3%. Fourth quarter, 12%. I got to put the pen down, give him another clap. Ladies and gentlemen, When I look at Kyocera's revenue numbers, when I look at their operating profit numbers in that Document Solutions business group, you know what I see? I see a disciplined company that's not chasing revenue at all costs, that understands controlled growth, more importantly, the importance of profitability on the revenue. Let's look at Kyocera as the whole company, the whole conglomerate, quarter by quarter. Operating profit, percentage of revenue. First quarter, 5.4%. Second quarter, 5.6%. Third quarter, 5.1%. Fourth quarter, 2.6%. I assure you, when they came in here in that fourth quarter at 2.6%, they're taking that seriously. They're going to correct it. Being an international company in today's business climate is tough. I'm not letting them off the hook. They came in at 4.6% as a company. They've got to increase that. And the Document Solutions business unit, the only thing I can say to you all is congratulations, because you're weathering the storm pretty damn good. I want to share something with you. I put together this slide here. There's a lot of information on here. It's really just for my notes. You can't read all this. But I wanted to compare Kyocera to Ricoh in the operating profit. I realize that Ricoh is a much bigger company. But when I think about Ricoh's revenue, you know what I think about? I think about an organization that chases revenue at all costs. The hell with operating profit. I've been talking about Ricoh's inability to produce substantial operating profit for a long, long time. But when you put it side by side and you start really comparing them to Kyocera, you can kind of see there's some issues at Ricoh. And the biggest issue at Ricoh, the same issue I think is at Konica Minolta, is these folks don't set goals that are even worthy to start with. Let me read you some of the things that Ricoh has as their goals for the FY which ended March of 2024. We don't have their final numbers out. I got 9 months worth of their numbers. I'm looking at what they're projecting as a total, and it's kind of horrifying. So Ricoh, FY ending 3/24, their forecast on revenue was $14.7 billion in revenue. Their operating profit they projected to be $384 million. First, through the 9 months, the operating profit is $237.6 million, sitting on 2.2% on the revenues for the first 9 months of $10.9 billion. They need $146.6 million in operating profit the fourth quarter and $3.8 billion in revenues the fourth quarter. So Ricoh needs a 4% operating profit on the $3.8 billion. If accomplished, Ricoh will produce $14.7 billion in revenues with an operating profit of $384 million, 2.6%. A 2.6% operating profit for the whole damn year for Ricoh. Kyocera had a 2.6 operating profit in their fourth quarter. And I assure you they freaked out. But I can't even imagine Kyocera projecting for the whole year they're going to have a 2.6% operating profit. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go back to the year 2020 and you look at the operating profit of Ricoh, since the year 2020, 3.9%. In 2021, minus 2.7%. 2022, 2.3%. 2023, 3.7%. This year, they want to come in at 2.6%. They'll probably end up at 2.63% operating profit. Let's look at Kyocera in the Document Solutions business group. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, Ray, that's not really a comparison because Kyocera is only $2.9 billion in that space. And all of Ricoh's revenue is coming from the print space. Well, here's what I'll tell Ricoh. Quit chasing revenue at all costs. I mean, it doesn't really matter how much you bill. It matters how much you make, right? It matters, do you make enough to withstand any kind of pressures you might run into? Let's look at Kyocera from the year 2020. 9.6%. 2021, 9.1%. 2022, 9.1%. 2023, 7.8%. 2024, 9.7%. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a big deal in these trying, challenging times. You've got to be able to produce operating profit. You've got to make the decision not to chase revenue at all costs. Ricoh, you're going to struggle if you don't figure out how to increase your operating profit. And running around Europe buying up IT services companies, I'll save that for your year end. I'm not even going to compare them to Kyocera. It's just, or to Kyocera to Konica Minolta, there is no comparison. I was going to do a comparison, but at the end of the day, I believe Konica Minolta will get absorbed by Fuji. It's irrelevant. Let's look at Ricoh quarter by quarter since the year 2019. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't need to read all these off, but you can see they basically suck at producing operating profit. And I know that's a hard word to say. They don't want to hear it. They had one quarter, the fourth quarter of 2022, where they had a 6.5%. Obviously, that was a big anomaly because it dropped down to 1.9% in the next quarter. But at the end of the day, if you look at the year 2020, that was a tough year for the whole world. And they fell off the cliff. They can't afford any hiccups. Do we think we're not going to have another 2020? Hey, maybe it won't be a global pandemic, but there's a whole lot of geopolitical things that could happen that could cause us to have a crisis. And those organizations that are focused on profitability are not going to maintain through a crisis, I assure you. Let's talk about Kyocera's innovations, their diversifications. We all saw them come out with the Task Alpha Pro 15,000C a few years ago and really changed the high-end production inkjet space, right? That product's got its place. But at the end of the day, they're also really big into textile printing. By the way, Kyocera, if you ever do an episode or an interview or do anything talking about how the textile printer is great for the BTA channel to sell, expect me to come after you over that. That would be crazy. I think about the Task Alpha Pro 55,000C. That's their newest, latest product. Folks, they went from 15,000C to 55,000C. I think it's kind of funny how they come up with these numbers. But these are some great technologies. They're having an impact. But here's what I'll tell you, Kyocera. I put it in red. I'd like to see the details on the revenue and the profit numbers. Don't navigate towards success based in adjectives. We see this happen all around our industry. When I was doing Xerox's recap yesterday, I told them the same thing. You got to have the details of these numbers, of these diversifications. This is the future. Tell us what the future is right now so we can imagine how it could grow. You can't hide this stuff. This is to all of my industry OEM friends. Anything you're going to bring into the marketplace to disrupt the marketplace has to be held accountable to the math. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than rifle-focusing management when those numbers are shared globally. Nothing better. I want to end with this slide. I'm going to ask a question. Will Kyocera lead a new print manufacturing joint venture, be part of another one, or what could Kyocera do? Tune in tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, because we all know this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.